morning, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Queening with the Empress with me, your host, Patience Pat Piri. On the 2nd of March, I got a textinyana and and it was from a dear friend of mine, Umanesi Ndlovu, and off we went to the small city hall because the Bulawayo City Council had arranged for journalists in the city to get their vaccination, COVID. And there I was, we went and there was a group of us and we got our jabs, the first one, because it's a 2-part series. You get the first one and then 28 days later, you get the second one. So it's been an experience, and on today's show, I thought, you know what, Queening with the Empress, let me queen and share this experience with you. And I have guests that are here that will also share their experiences. But our guest for today, Mutana Kamrewa, she is a journalist at site, and she's been covering COVID over the past year. And she was also there that day, and she wrote a story about it. So she will be talking to us because she has more information. So the vaccine that I got is the Sinopharm one from the People's Republic of China. So I got it right here, and it was a process. We got there. We had a briefing, a medical briefing, and we were told about the efficacy rate. I think it was 76% to 86%, and that it could not be given, the vaccine would not be administered to anyone who has underlying conditions. So if you're of a certain age, you're pregnant, you've got heart disease, or jalo, you can't be there. And then we sat in a queue, we got the cards, and then we had to go through a screening test. What's your name? Where do you stay? Do you have any conditions that you're aware of? Are you on medication? All those things. And then if you pass that screening, you move on to the next thing. Then after all that, there's this lady that was there in a little thing, and then like, and then we had to wait. The final part of this whole process was that we had to wait 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes, and we're being observed if you're reacting, if you're not, but if you're fine, you will let go, which is what happened to me and my friends that I was with. So to get more information, that was just my background. To get more information on this and more, we have Utanaka, who is here and is joining us. Welcome, Tanaka.
Thank you, Peshi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. So, Tanaka, you have been doing quite a number of stories over the past year related to COVID-19. What has been your lived experience, though?
I think basically it's been a learning curve throughout, because never in my life as a journalist had I come across such a serious pandemic. So being part of it has been a very complex experience, learning a lot of new things, exciting stuff, scary stuff, you don't even understand what is happening. At the same time, you're trying to equip yourself with knowledge, and at the same time, also people are coming to you asking for answers, and at the same time, you have to make sure that you're giving people the correct information at all the times. So, we just had to, it has been an experience whereby we had to create this close relationships with professionals, doctors, scientists, the police, and try and make sure that the information that we give out to the public is correct. And, at a time when everyone is seized with alarm and there's a lot that is happening, there's a lot of speculation. Even at home, your family will be like, hey, are you guys safe? Do you have protective clothing when you're going out there? Are you guys given like all the necessary prerequisites so that you guys are safe when you go and report on these cases? So besides me learning a lot of things, your family will be there worrying about you, your friends are there worrying about you, and it's just been a very complicated but exciting experience all the same.
Okay. And then e-reporting, how do you then separate yourself when, I remember like last year when we were at the height of it and you still had to go out and do your work in all that fear because we didn't have a lot of information then, remember? What was it like to report, to leave it, to go through it, but then to report and make sure that you're not being alarmist and you're sticking, because we also didn't have a lot of information. You're getting everything correct.
Well, it I said earlier, it wasn't easy, you know. So the best thing I think when we go back to our ethics as journalists, the best thing is if you're not sure about something, you just need to hold off a bit until you get all the information and you get all the facts clearly, and you are sure, you're 100% sure that they are correct. So in as much as you would be under pressure to say, no, the story has to come out, you know, people need to know this, you are trying to bring sanity at the same time, you know, and to make sure that your audience are quite safe, because, you know, as journalists, our main purpose is to give information to the people, and we have to give it to them accurately. So it was always good, it was always best to just hold off a bit and make sure that all the information that you have is correct, and to such an extent that when people get it, one, they are safe themselves, they can keep each other safe, and you are not causing more commotion than what is already there. So I can say that that was one of the most complicated parts that we had, because people will always be asking, sizwe kuthiwa ngale sokulento enje siyenzakele, sizwe kuthiwa ngaba le COVID kuyabanje, sizwe kuthiwa. So, you know, like there's a lot that people will be saying, and sometimes you wouldn't even be having that information as yet. So you'll just be like, okay, fine, guys, we'll try and find out as much as we can. And then you go out there, you talk to your sources, the people, the experienced people, you know, doctors, scientists, and people who are knowledgeable about the virus. And then they will give us the information, and then we'll give it back to the people. So we really had, we were so overwhelmed, honestly, as journalists. I can say we're very overwhelmed.
And then when you cover such stories and you have access to this information and you're seeing all these things, you drive through or you're walking around, ubona abantu abagqoka ngama-maski, abantu abasanitize, abantu aba-social distance. What does that make you feel like? Do you think, because there are people that are saying COVID is not real, how come this hasn't happened? And people are just being careless, not just with their lives, but with our lives as well. Because if they are being careless, then we're at risk as well. What did that make you feel like?
I think I could say the very first time when it really hit hard was when it was still within the early stages, and you know there were COVID death reports and COVID cases reports from across the world. But then in Zimbabwe, I'm sure you can remember that we were one of the countries that had its first case reported later, you know. So I think people were still in that bubble to say, we don't have it here, we don't have it here. And people were very, well, there was a time when they started to kind of understand that this thing was real. But then, you know, as people, we adjusting to this new normal is never easy. And some would be reckless. Well, some would really adhere to keeping to themselves, to be safe, to sanitize, to social distance. But not everyone will do that. Like you can see what happened in December. People really got reckless in December, and that's why around January we had like these huge figures. And then that's when people were like, oh, you know, we shouldn't have been this reckless. We shouldn't have let down our guard. And, you know, that's when they started to try and to go back. But then, you know, when such information comes, it's always best that as people, we try and take heed of the advice at all times so that we avoid. Right now, there's this talk about the third wave coming and all that. And people are being told, you know, guys, you need to keep on sanitizing, you need to keep your mask up. But, you get into the CBD right now, people are there, people are just, they are almost forgetting that we had a second wave not more than 3 months ago. And, it's really worrying, such that even us as journalists, there's only so much that we can do to conscientize people. But then we do our part, and the people also have to do their part as well, So it's a job for everyone, not that it's limited to saying journalists are the ones who are supposed to push people to do this, they're supposed to give them information. But we give them the information, we try to point out the challenges, and they are also expected to play their part as well.
And then I would love to know, okay, so on the 2nd, we were together when we were getting our jab. What were your thoughts before? Was it a difficult decision to come to? What was going through your mind?
Funny enough for me, taking that jab was the easiest decision that I had to make. I didn't even think twice about it. The moment I heard that journalists were being vaccinated, I was one of the first people to go there. I didn't even think twice about it. Reason being, as a journalist, there are times when you get exposed to this virus, not because of irresponsibility or what, but because it's a line of duty. So I felt like, at least if there is a vaccine, despite the myths that were there, one thing I told myself was, if this vaccine has been approved, then which means people have actually taken their time, and seeing that a lot of people have been dying, this is one way of trying to curb, the spread of the virus. So at least if there's a way for me to be safe, then me getting the vaccine, in a way, it's going to impact on the next person. If they see me getting the vaccine and I'm fine, then in a way it's going to convince them, or rather encourage them to do the same. So I really felt like, as journalists, having the privilege to be put in the same group as the frontliners who were given like the first priority to get the jab was a very serious compliment on our part. And we are really grateful for that, because now you know that even if I'm being exposed, at least there is that little bit of protection for me. Yeah.
Okay. At this point, I would love to bring on Brighton. Brighton, if you can unmute and give us your experience, because you were there and we had a little fandango before. So can you come through and let us know what has been your experience? Was it a decision that you struggled with to get the vaccine? And what were your fears, if any?
Right. Hello, pets and others. Thanks for having me this morning. Yeah, during the vaccine, I think for me, it was a decision that I made as a journalist, which we cover stories every day. We are always with crowds every time. We attend events where there are a lot of people. So one way or the other, we're bound to get the virus. But however, uh, through thanks to God's grace, life. But however, we needed to take the vaccine because of that. Our jobs are too risky. Every day we meet people, different people. We travel across Zimbabwe to cover different issues. So hence there was a need for me to take this vaccine. However, there were many myths and stereotypes about the vaccine. If you do this, yeah, vaccine sharp, look like that. But however, I think being a journalist, sometimes you need to be brave and take a risk, because we've all taken risks before covering stories. So with the vaccine, I think for me it was like, let me just take a risk and go for it. What we do every day is too risky. I feel. That was my thinking. But however, after taking the vaccine, when I went there to a city to take the vaccine, yeah, the process was okay and everything went well. But however, my arm was painful the entire day after being jabbed. I ain't gonna maybe it. I don't want to lie to you. My arm was very painful. I hate needles. I'm scared of needles. So yeah, I got consent. But however, a day or two, Baba Sharp, October, Baba Sharp, now waiting for the second jab.
Okay. And then I would love to know, memory where if you can unmute, because you also got your jab. I would love to find out what your experience, what were your thoughts were. So Memorinkwe, you are here. If you could unmute and share with us.
All right, hi Pete, and hello everyone. Well,
Hi.
for me, I was a bit skeptical, I must say, and I know you. I can see you actually laughing. Hey, well, I took my time. I actually took my time and thought about it, but at the same time, I think we are frontline workers, and on a daily basis, we are meeting people. We are going out there to cover stories, and even for us journalists who are actually in the electronic media, we go to the studio, we share the studios, we share the mics, and we know which corner with this COVID-19. The virus will always stay emoyeni for 5 hours or so. And Konapana, when we are sharing mics and leaving the studio, are they going to be sanitizing the studio every now and then? So I thought of that, and that's when I actually took the stand and said, okay, fine, let me just go and get vaccinated, because as Puma Lapana, we are meeting a whole lot of people. And for me, I must say, I loved the experience, the way corner, they would ask you questions if you've got any maybe chronic diseases, and then they will explain it before they give you the jab. There's a whole lot of mistruth about this vaccination, the myths. People have been saying this and that. And when I got on air and I told people that I got my jab like the other week, everybody was saying to me, the listeners, they were sharing jokes, and they're saying, oh, okay, fine, yes, we had, which today your voice was actually different, which means it's the jab. And I'm like, you know what, the mistruth and the myths about the vaccine, yes, but at least you'll be knowing which, when you get exposed, like what Tanaka said, which somehow you are a bit safe. But we are saying, even if you get the jab, you should make sure that you are still sanitizing, you are still social distancing, you are still putting on your mask. So I just can't wait to get my second dose again. And yesterday we had the privilege again to have Dr. Solwayo at the studios, where he was also sharing that information, the importance of getting the vaccines. So abantu bengayesabi, if it's open for everyone, please, let's take up and get vaccinated.
Oh, I thank you so much for that, Memorinkwe. And I ansoke nguveze ebantwini ukuthi we had to push you and drag you. Usesaba, I won't tell people that. And I see Umanesi is here. Manesi is the one that dragged me. So if Manesi, you can hear us, can you unmute and share your experience, please? Umanesi, if you can hear us, can you please mute and share your experience? What I would love to find out then from the journalists that have spoken is, has the way, and I think Tanaka, you'll need to start with that, has the way that you're reporting about COVID-19 changed, perhaps now that you have had the vaccine and you're going through it? Do you feel like it has changed how you see things, what your initial thoughts were? And I think everybody else, if they can answer that, have you changed in the way that you're reporting now?
I would like to say, I think the pandemic is still here, and we'll still live with it. But I think the only thing that has changed is my perception on things. Because honestly, initially, when we started doing this, working from home and being confined in one space, I really thought it was a long way before we could have a breakthrough. But personally, my perception has really changed. The presence of the vaccine and the rolling out of the vaccine program and having people getting the vaccine, it has really shared some ray of hope. I'm very hopeful that the future is brighter now, regardless of the number of lives of people that we have lost, regardless the fears that we had. I think this vaccine, if people really take it up seriously and they really commit themselves to getting the jab, then I really think we as a nation can really move forward from this pandemic that you're in.
Okay. Brighton, has anything changed on your part? Okay. The gremlins seem to be getting us. But I would love to find out from our live audience, what have you heard about the vaccine? What are some of the myths that you've heard? Are you thinking when they do open it up and everyone can get it, are you decided? Are you getting it? Are you not? And what are your reasons? So please remember to use the chat box or to raise your hand if you would love to share your thoughts. And while we wait on that, I will read just a few comments from the chat box that have already come in. Ulubelihle says that COVID actually hit her hard when, she says, I remember when Zororo Makamba died of COVID-19. It was on that day I vowed I would not leave the house. But a couple of months later, I have calmed down and I am leaving the house. Wow, it's almost a year. We're going for a year now. Well, how time moves. And then Taria says, yeah, the Zororo issue got me paranoid as well. It was a very sad thing. And then Brighton did write in the chat box about how the jab made his arm painful, and utwagcina esetoba. You know what? I won't even comment. But there's a very serious question that I think maybe Tanaka can address when we get back to her from Utatenda. Utatenda, when are we, the regular Joes, getting the vaccine? So maybe when we get back to that, Tatenda, not Tatenda, that's Tatenda's question, but Tanaka can respond to it. So the regular will have to wait. Unokuthabuthi mina ngesaba kodwa ngesaba so much because of the myths that are surrounding this. Utariro says, Lami, if I die, I die. I taken from what Brighton had said. Uguti, he decided to take the vaccine and his choice was that if I die, I die. And he's been fine, so that is a good thing. Ulubaletu says, I think I'm ready for the vaccine. I need immunity now that we're going out to the world. Jessica says, personally, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready. The myths are really getting to my head. What are these myths? Please tell me what it is that you are hearing about it. Okay, Utandiwa Uti, I heard that these vaccines alter your DNA and cause infertility in women. It is hilarious. I know. I've heard that one too. And anyway. Okay, Umanes responds. She says, in network yake ibingavumi, but she's written in the chat box, says, sorry, in network, EBC ngiphicile. Get vaccinated, guys. No side effects for me so far since I got the jab, and I am hopeful ngayo. Oh, that's good. I'm ready to get the vaccine. I totally understand the concept of vaccination. Save the social media myths and misconceptions. It's an adapt or die issue, this one, and that is from Uchedu. Okay, Melissa says, I'm also skeptical about it, but I agree with Unotaba. Okay, Memorinkwe comes through and says, about the DNA being altered, that's very false. I had an interview with Dr. Mark on Friday, and he spoke about it at length. So I guess, like Tanaka said, the doctors and scientists are the best people that can help us with these myths that we are hearing, and these are false, like people are throwing around just to stop people getting vaccinated. So yeah, I think that is it. Tanaka, back to you. When is everybody else able to get vaccinated? Can they go to their local health center?
According to what the government had announced earlier, they had said that the vaccination program will be rolled out in 3 phases. Phase 1 being the frontline workers, and phase 2 being the elderly. And people, the elderly and people with underlying conditions, I think. And then the third one was then that's when the rest of the public would be given like the go ahead to go and get vaccinated. So far, according to what has been happening, we're still within the first phase where frontline workers were getting vaccinated. And then now with the schools reopening, we understand that they said lecturers and teachers, now they are being prioritized as well before they go back to school and start interacting with students as well. So there are no specific dates as yet, but I'm sure if people just keep on checking especially the websites for the Ministry of Health and that of the Ministry of Information, they can get all the information that they need from there. But also as journalists, as soon as we get dates, I'm sure all media houses will be giving people the correct information as to when and where and how they can get their vaccination.
Okay, moving forward, before we close, moving forward, Tanaka, how do you think this pandemic has impacted the way we will, in the future, report on a crisis?
I would say this was a very important learning cave, you know. This really exposed a lot of shortfalls that we have as media people. You know, we discover that especially in these health facilities and the government facilities, you know, there's this certain line of communication. So sometimes, you know, you go to a doctor and you say, please, can I have this? And then they'll refer you to like the proper people who are supposed to be talking to people, you know, like the designated people who are supposed to talk to the media. So I think as journalists, we have very limited sources from where we can get information. And I think if when we are seized with a situation like this one, we need to have as broad a line of sources whom we can communicate with as much as we can. Because suppose if we've got only 2 to 3 doctors, the whole of the Bulawayo province, who have access, we have the clearance to talk to journalists, you know, it becomes very cumbersome because on the other hand, they've got their job to do. And on the other hand, we're also trying to get information from them. So at the end of the day, it kind of slows down the process. And yet people will be in so much dire need of that particular information. So at least if we could have a larger pool of sources where we can get information from as and when we need it, you know, because the more we delay, the more the people remain at risk. So I think from now, we just need to create a bigger pool of sources for journalists.
Memorinkwe, going forward, how do you think this will impact the way that we report?
All right. Going forward, this definitely is going to impact the way we report in a positive way, because now when you are actually talking of COVID-19, people who interact with you will definitely ask you about the vaccine, because we've been talking about COVID-19. Abantu bonke besesaba ukuthi okay, fine, kuzaphela yini konke lokho. But now everyone wants to talk about the vaccine, the myths yona nje ukuthi khona kulama side effects yini. And I must say ukuthi in our reporting as journalists, lapho esisebenzela khona, I tell you, mina, for me, I can see even khathesi kuma messages, abantu they are still a bit skeptical. But I'm saying, let's just go out there and get all the information that we need. Yes, social media can make or break, you know, but let's get the correct information. We go to Ministry of Information website pages, we go to the Ministry of Health, we get all the necessary information that we need. Singabe sisizwa ngabantu this and that, but let's get the correct information, then we are good to go.
Oh, thank you so much. Umanesi says, going forward, our reporting must and will change the general narrative as well. So thank you so much, Tanaka. Any final words?
I think I would say, guys, the virus is still here. Let's not let our guards down. Let's continue masking up. Let's continue sanitizing. And if opportunity arises, please, let's all get vaccinated. Please, please, please.
Thank you so much, Tanaka. Like I said, that today's show is my experience of the journey that I've been with, and I love to share my experience with you. So on my royal thoughts today, with anything new, which is what COVID-19 has been, it's brought something new that we never thought would happen, and we've had to adapt very quickly. I don't want to say or die, but we've had to adapt. And this time last year, we were heading towards our lockdown, and we're not sure how long COVID would be around. But now, a year later, I think it's very clear that we will have COVID-19 around for a very long time. And what needs to happen now is we need to find ways to manage it and to survive it, because it's not just going to disappear. So like I said, on the 2nd of March, I had my first injection, and it was Sinopharm from the People's Republic of China. I didn't have any side effects. Like with any, I had it on my left arm right here. It didn't leave a mark. We'll try and see if we can get a close-up. It didn't leave a mark. I didn't have any side effects. I just had a painful arm for a couple of days because obviously I'd been injected. I did not speak Chinese. Nothing that everybody else had said would happen has happened to me. And I had asked my friends to join and share their experiences as well. So I would say to you, if you're listening and you're thinking about it, it is a decision that you need to make, to think about and to make going forward. Am I happy that I got a jab? I am happy. I feel relieved. I will not stop, however, putting on my mask to sanitize, to socially distance. But I feel that I have, like I said before when we began the show, a 75 to 85% chance in the event that I should be exposed. So any chance for me is a good chance to just stay alive and to beat this thing which has come into our world and we must live with. So as you make your decision, consider all. I think as we also go forward, we'll have a number of vaccines available to us. So make the best choice for you. And if it's not true, do not repeat it. Singathandi ukuphinda amanga, because in that process we don't know who's listening. So if we cannot back it up, let us not repeat it. If it's not true, like the journalists have said, stick to true information. So you can go either on the World Health Organization website, you can go on Ministry of Health website, you can go to the Ministry of Information website. So if it's not true, don't repeat it. So thank you so much for watching, and please stay safe, everybody. And remember to stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. And don't forget, Site ZW across all media social platforms so that you're always on the pulse with what is going on. Stay safe, everybody. We love you. Bye-bye.